So I have a quote that I want to read you. It's a little bit of a short letter here from Octavia Rahim. This is, "Dear Yogi, Yogini, don't ask yoga to make it vibrate away or lull anyone into the faux light. Ask it to make us real. Ask it to reveal to us just how fierce love really is. Ask it to grant us courage to examine our own darkness. If you are just now waking up to the reality of the world, to the depth of it, allow yourself to be with the discomfort. Do not go back to sleep." And I found that to be very difficult but relevant. Funny how that all comes together. Over the last couple of days, especially today, and I found myself in this place that I often find myself, where I am sitting with something uncomfortable, and my response is that I want to find a way to get distracted, to take my mind off of it. Many stories of the irritating / horrific things that have happened when the universe has granted me that request when I was not being specific about what I want. So clearly that can be rather dangerous. And also that desire to distract and disconnect is the antithesis of this practice. We say we are seeking connection. We say we are seeking a tuning inwards. And when we use these practices as a method of tuning out, of, like I love like vinyasa, continuous movement sort of things, and I like it because it helps me get out of my head and into my body. But if I'm using it just to shut off everything, then that's not the ideal way to be practicing. We need to be using these things to really tune inwards, to really kind of sit with those places that are uncomfortable. And this is relevant to asteya, or not stealing, and that we are not trying to take away the attention from that which really needs our attention, even when it's us, and even when we don't want to, and even when it's really ugly and gross sometimes. And having a lot of conversation with my friends lately about finding this willingness to be wrong, and this willingness to find those places inside of us so that we can become greater connected to the truth, that we can perhaps shut things out less. Like how Brene Brown discusses how the idea of fearing shame will cut us off from finding connection. When we are unwilling to accept and develop, and we simply just shut off, that we disconnect, that we disengage, that we distract. We're going to start off just making some connection with ourselves here. Go ahead and rub your hands together. And then rub your hands against your legs. Go ahead and give yourself some rubbing around in your arms. And take your fingertips up and behind your ears, massaging them, finding that soft spot and the bony spot, and lifting up from the bony spot, softening your jaw and lifting your spine. And then when you're ready, letting your hands come down into your lap. If you'd like them to be open, they can be open. If you'd like to have this turning inwards of your palms, you can even like squeeze on if you need a little bit of a hold at this point. And just take a few deep breaths. See if you can find a point in your body, an area where you are drawn to, where you are having an experience. And oftentimes we're drawn to the places where there are problems, where we're feeling tight or limited in some way. But it's also possible to notice these places where we might feel a little bit more open, or maybe a shoulder that might have been a little bit creaky last week seems to feel a little bit more stable, or move to the other side as it does. Taking another deep breath in through your nose. Big exhale through the mouth. Again, like that. Or 3 ohms. Begin to open your eyes and unwind your legs. If you're seated on a cushion, go ahead and slide it out to the sides. Take your hands wide and back and your legs out in front of you. And start to roll your legs side to side, taking a brief pause as you get to either direction. Just getting a little bit of movement, a little bit of loosening up in the hips. And then the next time you take the knees over towards the left side, start to lift yourself up and forward towards that left shin. I've got this open space and my legs here, got that pinwheel. We're coming into a hold in swan. And not to say that when we find discomfort, especially physically discomfort, uncomfortable in the body, that we have to just sit there and take it. A lot of times a little shift is necessary. In fact, a shift is always necessary when we find ourselves in discomfort, and not turning away entirely, but maybe, oh, if I just kind of relax this way or shift a little bit in this way, if I make some change, it may begin to alleviate some of that discomfort. Stay here for 3 more breaths. Go as close as you want to and are able to your shin. 1 more deep breath in and deep breath out. And then start to bring your hands back in. You're going to take the left arm in close to you, just place the right hand on the thigh somewhere and take a little twist over. I'm still pretty lifted up in my spine, not really lying backwards. Just 1 more breath in and 1 more breath out. And then start to turn around facing front. You're going to take the right leg and open it out to the right. Snuggle that left foot in a little bit closer. You might adjust your flesh here. And then taking the left toes up, or right toes up, take your left hand up and over your nose. Start to soften the lower ribs in gently. And then if you have the space, you might start to feel your heart spiraling up, and you're not letting the ribs jump out, you're keeping them in. It's the heart just somewhat turning up. Take a breath in here. Relax the left side of your neck. Once more like that. Exhale. And then lift yourself up and start to take the legs in, so that you can turn both knees over towards the right side, keeping this wide pinwheel shape, and then going towards your shin. And it might feel really comfortable to go towards the thigh, but the more you can keep gently working towards the shin, the more you'll really get a fairly deep outward rotation. And if the most you can get towards your shin is just like a half an inch over a lot of practice, that's good. But see how much discomfort is useful, is worth exploring. Wonderful. 2 more deep breaths. Big exhale. And start to walk the hands up. We're going to take a little twist over towards the right side. I'm trying not to lean back into this as I turn away from the left leg. Taking a breath in. Soft belly as you breathe out. And then unwind and take the right leg or the left leg and extend it out like so, bringing that right leg in a little bit closer. Toes are lifted, both hips are down, and the right arm extends up and over as the low ribs soften in, and then the heart starts to consider spiraling upwards. Maybe it does start to spiral upwards. Maybe even just thinking about it changed the way that it feels. Try to relax your neck, breathing in. Staying there as you breathe out. And then come on up. You're going to come onto our hands and knees. Feel free to put anything squishy underneath your knees just to make sure that you have a little bit more support there. I'm going to take the right leg back, toes on the ground, just stretch back through the calf. Take a big breath in. Feel the heel press back a little bit more. And then you're going to take your right leg and just bring it up as much as is comfortable to you. So oftentimes I say get all the way outside of the hand. If you can, great. If it's not so good there, don't worry about it. My foot is pretty far off of my mat space. Just make some circles around in your hips. And go in the other direction. And then start to slide that right knee back and place it next to your left, and take the left foot back, toes on the ground, pressing back through the calf. Moving the weight back towards the heel to really release the back side of that leg. Another breath in, another breath out. And then start to bring that left foot up just wherever it gets to comfortably. And if it's all the way back there, then you might go ahead and bring it up so that it's more in line with your knee, but not too particular. Start to make some circles. Foot is wide outside of the body here. Go in circles in both directions. And then start to pull that left leg back. Go ahead and walk your knees back. See if you can slowly lower to your belly. It doesn't need to be graceful. Just being present there. Ooh, your legs back a little bit more. Press the tops of your feet into the mat. We'll come up to Sphinx Pose. And we'll turn to face you. So once you find yourself here, be careful that you're not letting your heart fall forward. See if you can press down into your forearms and get a little bit of space open in your chest. And if that bothers your back, give a little wiggle to get your legs maybe a little bit more open or a little bit further out of the pelvis. And take your nose over towards your left shoulder, pushing down just a little bit more through that right arm. And as you exhale, roll your chin down towards your chest, keeping your shoulders from falling in, and then lifting your head up. Then turning your nose over your right shoulder, pushing down a little bit more on the left shoulder just to be sure that it stays open, that you stay grounded on that side. As you exhale, releasing your chin down towards your chest. And then inhale, taking the head back up. Go ahead and widen your elbows. Come down to rest on your forehead or a cheek for a moment and give the hips a little glide side to side. And then coming back into your Sphinx Pose, you'll come up, just bringing the elbows in underneath the shoulders again. And try to push down in the arms, opening the chest. Just drop your chin down towards your chest. And take a little glide of your chin side to side. So I'm just going to move here to go into the next space. It's a very small glide. Finish your exhale. And start to lift your head back up. Taking your left hand back by your left ribs. And then sneaking the right hand back by your right ribs. See if you can open the chest and then lower it on down. And then coming back into Sphinx Pose, coming up onto your forearms. So you push down strong in your arms and feel your chest opening up. See if you can stay in roughly the same position as you bring your right arm back. Be mindful that the shoulder hasn't crept forward. And then take the left hand back and lower down. And then come back up into Sphinx Pose. And this time we'll try to bring both hands back at the same time. I would recommend pressing down into the tops of your feet if your back is okay with that. Cool. And then go back, Cobra Pose. And then lower. And then try one more time. I saw a lot of successful Cobra snapbacks. Maybe give it one more shot. Go. And then lower. And then pressing yourself up. And pressing yourself back. Finding a child's pose. Wide knees. Hips are back. Either on your heels or up a little bit higher. And if your knees are no good to be on today, you'll just remain laying flat on your belly where we just were. You can go right back there. Rest your forehead. Maybe on your forearms, if you can reach it, resting on the mat. Take 3 deep breaths, feeling your lower back opening up. And then start to look forward, lift yourself up, bring those knees in line, the hands a little bit further forward. See if you can lower slowly down to your belly. When you get there, wiggle your legs back a little bit more. Slide your hands back perhaps a little bit more. The toes will curl under, but the knees will stay down. Draw your belly in towards your spine. Push yourself away from the floor. And then just rest the hips back a little bit. As you inhale, move forward. We'll just do that one more time. Lower down as slowly as you can. It doesn't have to be smooth and graceful. If you can take your fingers, wiggle them out real quick. And then last one, hands are down, lift the belly, push the floor away until you rise up. And then go ahead and slide the hips back. We're going to take the hips all the way down onto the mat. This might sound fairly confusing. We're going to take the ankle on the knee. When you get down here, just put whatever ankle on the knee means that your foot is going to turn over towards the camera, or towards the screen. So for me, that looks like this. So you should be having the sole of your foot towards me, like you're going to be able to like high-five me with your foot. As long as you can still see the screen, if you were to roll side to side, that's fine too, but I think this makes sense, and let me know if I'm wrong. So we'll be here, or you can take the arm in between the legs and hold onto that bottom thigh. And if you're directly mirroring me, you might have your left foot up on top, which means you're grabbing your right leg. And if you have your left foot on top, or your right foot on top, you're grabbing your left leg. I'm going to use top and bottom leg from here on out for reasons that I think should be fairly clear. Just take 2 more breaths, allowing your pelvis to be maybe a little heavier. Big breath in. Big breath out. And then keep the ankle on the knee. Go ahead and release the hands from the leg and go ahead and drop that bottom foot down just like you came from. And then you're going to turn over so that your foot comes down towards the floor. So you want to ideally get that foot down. You might let your knees go further away from you. Having them a little closer is going to be a little bit deeper on the outer top hip. If the knee can face up, great. If that's not okay for your knees, you're just going to go ahead and let that thigh fold in. You'll still get a stretch here. It's a deeper rotation to try to get the knee turned upwards. And then as you open your arms, try to draw the belly in the direction of the spine on your exhales. And you let the belly fall in towards the spine every time you breathe out. One more full round of breath. Big exhale. And then you're going to take the back arm, go ahead and roll over towards your legs. And you're going to come up to this seat right here. Doesn't have to be graceful. Mine wasn't. It's just that this is where we're going still with this same shape of the leg. This foot might come closer to you. It might need to go further away. Go ahead and give yourself a couple of little scooches until you find a good place for that foot to be. Or you can have the foot down, the knee isn't angry with you, and you're able to roll forward to the front half of the side of your hip. And you feel a really big stretch all the way back this way. You need to use this hand for support and come up onto these fingertips instead to stay off of your wrist. That can be good. If you can bring this hand in closer, if that feels okay for the flexion of your wrist, you can do that and maybe make a mudra here. And this mudra of grounding and completion. Index finger and thumb towards each other. Make sure your hips aren't sitting back. See how much you are able to lift up and forward. Big breath out. And then go ahead and relax back a little bit. You're going to come to lay all the way down on your side. I'm just going to shift because I can't reach my arm out that way. And you can kind of like snuggle down with your hand behind your head, outer armpit is long. If you want to extend your arm, you can. I don't really have room. You're going to take this top leg up, hold on to it, and then push out through the ball of your bottom leg, the ball of the foot on the bottom leg. That's hopefully going to help keep you steady. You can hold on to the back of this knee and draw it up towards your armpit. If you have the room, you could reach for your ankle instead. And often holding on to the bottom of the knee here is really going to let you rotate the leg in a way where you might feel more stable. If I'm wrong and this feels more stable, go for it. And push out through the bottom foot. And kind of splitting your legs a little bit apart. Big breath in. Big breath out. And then go ahead and release this leg. I'm going to come down and just kind of lay and cradle my head and my arm. You've got two options with your top leg. You can just let the leg go back to stretch the front of the hip, or you can reach back and hold onto the foot. So if you are trying to hold onto the foot and balance, the bottom leg is straight. If you don't need any more balance practice, you bend the bottom leg. If you don't need to be holding onto your foot, you're right. You just leave it back there and try to feel the front of this hip opening. Big breath in. Big breath out. All right, we're going to come down to roll over onto our backs. And bring your knees into your chest. Give yourself a little squeeze, a little rock side to side. And we're going to go towards the other side. If you can see or hear, you feel good where you're at. If you were to be facing the other way, that's fine. Otherwise, we'll want to turn it around. I'm going to turn it around just because having my bum to you for a while is kind of weird. And whatever leg you were not just working around in your hip, which should be fairly clear, you'll take the other ankle and put it on top of that knee, staying here, or reaching the arm in between the legs to hold onto the bottom thigh. And just trying to be present with these sensations for the next couple of breaths. Few more deep breaths. And then releasing the hands so that that foot comes back down, and then this whole shape of the ankle and the knee is going to turn over towards the screen or towards the other side, so you've got the knee up. It can turn in if it needs to. If you're able to work through turning the knee up, you'll do that. You'll open the arms in a way that's comfortable to you. Another in a way that is not causing unnecessary pain. And then the belly really wants to reach up here. This shape will create a back bend. See if you can soften the belly in every time you breathe out. One more full deep round of breath. And then start to roll yourself over towards that bent leg. And come to prop yourself up. And so we'll take yourself up onto fingertips, or onto your hand. And there's a bit of like, the body kind of wants to rest back here. And if this is as far forward as you can get, it's not wrong to be there, but as much as you can reach forward, we really want to lengthen this side body space. And try not to hang out in the shoulder, have a little bit of lift up and out of that side of the chest. Big breath in. Big breath out. And then starting to slide down onto that arm, just this way this time, so I can reach my arm out. So I'm going to lay on my arm. And before I was up like this, you're welcome to be in either place. So just lay down, make sure the outside of that armpit is long, so you'll wiggle your hand out. And then we're going to come up and you're going to hold on to either the back of your knee, where I'm trying not to rest back there like that. Yes, I'm trying to come forward on this hip. Or you can reach inside of the leg to hold your ankle. Extend outwards through the ball of your bottom foot. Excellent. 2 more deep breaths in and out. Deep inhale. Exhale. And then you'll release that leg. You're going to take it back behind so that you have a stretch to the front of your thigh. And it could be gentle, like so, or I just have this leg behind me, or I can reach back and catch onto that foot. If I settle back, it's a little bit easier to balance, but if I settle back and fold the hip, I'm missing out on the full psoas stretch. So I really want to send the knee back and the hip forward, even if it's not big with holding the foot. To be right here. You can still send the hip forward, the knee back. Breathing in, breathing out. And then rolling over onto your belly. I'm going to push into the hands and press back to child's pose for a moment. Bring your hips back towards your heels, knees wide, hips back, or hips up in the air in puppy dog. Big breath in. Big breath out. And start to bring your hands in. Lift yourself up. Bring your feet down onto the floor. Take your time coming up to standing. No rush. When you get up to standing, we're going to come out into a horse stance. Like every time we discuss discomfort, it's like, let's do a Buddha squat for a really long time. So we'll be here. We're going to try to drop your upper butt down, push into the pinky toe edges of your feet, but choose what you do with your hands. This can be a like celebratory pose or a pleading with the heavens to let this pass sooner. Shape with your arms. Maybe you feel strong with hands on your heart. Holding onto your thighs is going to help to make this maybe a little bit more accessible and less strenuous on the muscles. So there you go. What makes sense to you? Does this lift better? 2 more breaths. Pinky toe edges of your feet. 1 more breath. Big exhale. Straighten the legs. Go ahead and relax the arms. Turn the heels to face back and come forward into a fold. So nice wide legs. You might be here with hands on shins, just trying to let your spine be long. You can have a little bend into the knees. Maybe the hands are down. Try to push into the pinky toe edges of your feet. So before that was to help support us. Now in this shape, that's to help to extend the outer calf muscles that might not always get some the amount of stretching that they need. Release. Big exhale. And then put a slight bend into your knees. Bring the hands up and come all the way up here. I'm going to turn all of the toes to face over towards the right side. My right toes turned in, left toes turned in, right toes all the way over. Warrior two. Push into your feet. How are your feet supporting you? Can that allow your thighs to split more open? Does thinking of the thighs splitting open make you push more into your feet, or just pushing into the feet make your thighs split open? Sometimes the trigger, the thought works better in one direction than the other. Big breath in. Big breath out. Straighten both legs. Bring your left hand back to your left hip, or you can slide it behind your back if that's comfortable to you. And then you're going to lift your heart up towards your right fingertips. So I'm not falling backwards. I'm lifting and extending open and forwards. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. Deep breath in. Exhale, bring that hand down. Start to slide your hips towards the back foot, and then bring your right hand down somewhere on your right leg. That's good for your triangle pose. And you'll soften your low ribs in a bit, and then spiral the heart open. You can leave your hand here at your back or at your hip if that's helpful. If you'd like to open the arm, you're welcome to do that. Take a big breath in. Big breath out. And then draw your belly in to come up. Hands at the hips will be a little less intense. And start to turn your feet towards the other side, coming into warrior two. Those right toes turn in a little bit, left toes all the way straight out, knee in the same direction, and arms open. So play with those two ideas in your foundation in your legs. Does splitting the legs apart feel stronger to you? Can you still feel your feet connected? What happens when you push into your feet? What does that make you feel in your thigh bones, your thigh muscles? And I don't know that's hard is a perfectly valid response. It's what is there. Not really a right answer necessarily. Big breath in. Big breath out. Straighten the legs. Take your right hand back, either behind your back or onto your hip, and then turn the heart up towards the left fingertips. Maybe here you notice that your hips are kind of settling in. Just pushing the floor away help to lengthen the spine. One more breath in, reach up nice and tall. Exhale, bringing the hand down, using that opportunity to shift the hips back, and then your hand will come down to your shin or your ankle or the floor. Maybe it's up higher on you today if your hammies are feeling tender. The ribs will gently soften inwards just a little bit, and then the heart will spiral open. So I'm not like doing a crunch and then twisting. I'm staying long. My ribs go down just that tiny bit, and then I spiral around the soft belly. Arm up if you like. One more round of breath. Big exhale. Drawing yourself all the way up. And then you're going to bring the feet in one by one. We're doing a little dance around your feet. And then if you're feeling a little bit tender in balance, you might come to hold on to something to give your foot and your ankles some wiggling around. And going to the other side. Try to hit all of the different angles, meaning my foot is massaged out as I can get it. And then just coming to stand, feet underneath the hips, feeling a gentle lifting up of the hips, maybe closing the eyes as you lift the toes and set them back down. Take a few more exchanges of lifting and rooting toes down if you want to try to do individual toes or separate the 4 toes from the big toes a few times. Sometimes it's a fun opportunity to be able to laugh at ourselves, or maybe just laugh at our toes for being so unwilling to follow the brain on this. They're a long ways away from the brain. Give them a little bit of grace. And shake it out. So we're going to take our big hip opening shape as our standing balance. Going to be Ida Pingala today. Your modification, if your thighs are not opening out wide, is to get a good outer hip stretch still in eagle pose. So that's with my thighs directly together, sitting both of my hips back. That can tend to be a really nice stretch to the outside of the hips. If you're feeling more open and interested in engaging here, you might are interested in developing that a little bit more today. You're going to take the ankle on the knee, just like we did when we were laying down, and this knee is open. So I have lots of space here. And I'm also sitting my hips back so I'm not on a straight leg. I really want to set the hips back. If you're feeling steady in your balance, you might try to take your fingertips off of the wall, or just make sure you're not leaning into the wall. See if you can lift your heart and still soften the low ribs in. Last exhale. Let him slide that leg down, stand it up. I'm going to take a little salsa move, just getting the hips and the knees working out again. So this time also probably holding onto a wall, or at least being close to it, because this is an intense balancing shape, especially because you're having an intense sensation on your hip. There's a lot that goes on here. So bend into the other leg, take the other ankle onto your knee. And notice I really am trying to sit the hips back. It's very easy to let the knees go forward here. The body wants to head into the front space. You really need to set it back to keep from putting pressure on that front knee. Try to leave your heart up, softly resting the belly towards your spine. Helps to engage the core without cutting the breath off with a crunch. And you might play with less fingertips on whatever you've got there. Hips are back, not to the side, but back. Last breath out. And start to lift yourself up. Go ahead and unwind that leg. Wiggle things out a little bit. Do a little salsa that feels interesting to you. And then we're going to come into a bit of a strong half squat. So hips aren't going to go any lower than the knees. We're going to try to use this space to lift and open the chest. We'll end with a couple of stronger heart openers. So you're going to sit back, elbows on the thighs. And this will be our chance to start to open the chest up and forward. And then you get more, the more you think of your tail feathers going down and back. If I leave my hips relaxed and I push down into my arms, I get about this much. If I reach my tailbone back, it starts to open up more. Big breath in, big breath out, and start to lift up. And then we're going to come down onto a seat. We'll come down. If you are finding it difficult to stay completely tall with your hips on the mat, you'll grab a cushion and sit up on it. It gives just a little extra boost to the hips. And I take the toes up, finding staff pose in our legs. Let's start with fingertips down in this shape. See if without crunching into the spine, can you soften the ribs down while still lifting the heart up? So I'm not crouching back. I'm going to soften the ribs down and lift the heart up. And then take the arms forward. And lift the ears up. Soften the low ribs down, extend the heart up. Hands can come to shoulders or reach up into the overhead luggage compartment space. So if your shoulders are feeling a little too tender for having the arms extended, you place the fingertips on your shoulders. Can you reach up longer through the skeleton, through the backbones of the body? Breathing in, breathing out. And then take your arms back behind you, palms face down, or palms face in, thumbs face down, that's what it is. And instead of creating a back bend, can you create some integrity through your torso, drawing the low ribs down, lifting the heart up, reaching those fingertips back, breathing in, breathing out, releasing your hands down. And take one foot in, bring your hands back a little bit more than a foot. You're going to stand up on this bent leg on that foot. Just go ahead and lift your hips up and then back down. And then switch sides. You're going to push down in your hands, push down in this foot, lift the hips up, and then lift the hips down. And then extend the legs out. You're going to come down onto your forearms. And then shift your hips until your tailbone points downwards. And push down into your forearms so that your heart starts to float up. You're going to need to relax the ribs down here. You're going to push the heart right up into the front of the rib cage. The head can go back if you like that. One more big breath in. And exhale. Soften your hips on down, your heart on down. Roll over to one side. We're going to come back onto our knees. And we're going to take camel pose on each side. If you need some cushion underneath your knees, you'll go there. We're just going to take a half camel. So curling your toes under, lifting the hips up and forward. You're going to feel your tailbone drop down. Bring your hands into your back pockets for a moment. See if you can lift your rib cage away from those back pockets. And then you're going to turn your nose over your right shoulder or towards the screen. And take your left arm up and forward. So sometimes we let it go back and that takes us into a back bend. Can you let this be opening to the front side of the body? There's a lot of compression here to open up the outsides of the hips. Big breath in. And then soften the belly back, the hips back. Release the hand down. And place the hands back in the small of your back. Those back pockets, opening up the front of the hips, lifting the ribs away. And then taking the right arm or the other arm up. And you can look back over your shoulder. Think of moving forward. We have the toes curled under to keep the underbutt engaged. Deep breath in. Soften the hips, the heart back. Both hands back. And then go ahead and come and maybe drum out your toes for a bit. And then we'll come down onto our backs. If you want to have this cushion around to support you in Shavasana, you might have that handy. And as you come down, bringing your knees into your chest, making some circles with your knees in one direction, and circles with your knees in the other direction. And then letting your legs fall down. Extend your left leg out as long as you can. Bring the right leg in, and you can even hold on the bottom of your thigh. If the left leg doesn't get totally straight, just make sure your foot is flexed. So I can have the leg bent here and still push out through that foot. But try to get that leg straight, even if you're maybe just holding fingertips, or if you have to put the right foot back down. So left leg is totally straight. Push the ball of your foot forward. And keep focusing on that left leg. Don't worry about the right leg. If you've got a lot of space open, you might be bringing that thigh in towards you. But the focus here is on the left leg extending. So we're opening the front of that hip space. Pushing out through the big thumb out of the foot. Breathing in. Breathing out. And then if you've still got that right leg, you'll release the right foot down. Slide the left foot in. Extend that right leg out. And bring the left leg in, and you can just hold right back here behind the knee, not worrying too far about how intense that left side gets. Now we're focusing on the right side as you push the ball of your foot out. Or you can have the foot flex, pushing the foot out, but as straight as you can get that right leg, the better to open up the front of this hip. Opening front body. We can both turn inwards to be with our discomfort and also to remain open to change. To remain open to the world. Take a breath in and a breath out. And then go ahead and release the left leg down. Slide the right foot in. Heels are up close to the hips. Toes face forward, knees face up. Wiggle the shoulder blades underneath the back. Push into your feet, lift the hips up. Maybe you give an extra wiggle of your shoulders, and you can hold hands if that feels good underneath you. Push down into all parts of your feet and feel the fronts of the hips opening up, knees facing forward, not falling outwards. One more breath in. And then release shoulders, release the spine and the hips to the mat. Stay here for a recovery breath. Big inhale, maybe a nice big sigh. And we go to bridge pose one more time. As you push into the feet, you might lift the hips and find more room to bring the shoulders towards each other. The arms press down to give a boost to the heart and the hips. The feet press down to open and lift the hips. The inner thighs pull up into the pelvis. One more inhale. And then releasing shoulders and spine and hips all the way down. Step the feet a little bit wider than the hips now. Let the knees fall against each other. Bring the arms someplace comfy. And begin to separate the knees. Leave the feet nice and wide. Reach your arms back. You might hold on to your elbows if you don't have room to extend the arms fully. Let both knees go over towards the right side. Flex your feet. If it feels really good, you can put the right ankle on the left knee if that causes any trauma in your knee. You don't need any of that. Go ahead and leave the right foot on the floor. So decide which feels better to you. It does not need to be intense to be valuable. And if you've got the arms extended, you might hold the left wrist and kind of gently pull the left wrist out to open the outside of the shoulder. If you've got the elbows bent, you can hold onto the left elbow and just gently drawing it outwards. Big breath in. Big breath out. One more inhale. One more exhale. Relaxing the arms, the elbows, bringing the knees back up. Small shift to the hips to make sure they're balanced. And then once they're balanced, going over towards the other side, flexing your feet. So the knees aren't together, they're open. You might put the left ankle on the right knee if that's valuable to you. That is traumatic to your knee. Nobody needs that. Gently pulling on the right elbow or on the right wrist. And of course, if that's traumatic to your shoulders, that's not necessary. You find what is valuable for your body. One more round of breath. And start to release your arms. Bring the knees to face up. Bring the arms down by your sides. Either letting the knees fall against each other and taking this constructive rest for your Shavasana. Maybe you take a pillow and slide it under your legs. Maybe you extend the legs out flat. Always got the option of legs up against the wall or feet up on couch, chair, bed. Take a quick moment to give a very soft, very subtle wiggle of the shoulder blades in underneath the heart, that the heart can remain a bit lifted. Just being sure that we're giving ourselves this gentle support and opening whenever possible. Settling deep into the breath. Rest very well. Dear Yogi, do not ask yoga to make it vibrate away. or to lull anyone to the faux light. Ask it to make us real. Ask it to reveal to us just how fierce love really is. Ask it to grant us courage to examine our own darkness. If you are just now waking up to the reality of the world of systemic oppression, to the depths of it, allow yourself to be with the discomfort. Do not go back to sleep. And as you begin to come back into your body and into your breath, to prepare to re-enter this world that in fact has much beauty in it as well. We'll begin to come over to one side, offering gratitude for this practice and the ability to be together. Eventually finding your own version of a comfortable seat with the hands gathered at your heart. We seal our practice, releasing one Om together. Deep breath in. Bowing down to the love, the light, and the darkness that resides within each of our hearts. Namaste.
Have a good week, April.
Thank you, you too, Sylvia. Bye, everybody. Let me know if you have questions about anything, if there's anything that you need.
Thank you.